How are we doing? Look at me, I've got a tripod! You don't have to stare at me for some weird angle now. Yay! I'm just setting up for some readings, and it came to me, well, it's been coming to me for a few days, to speak about this, and I mentioned it briefly in one of my last videos. But I get asked a lot about my surgeries on my breasts, and I thought it might be intriguing, interesting. I don't know whether I have a very different view on surgery and boobs than most. I don't know, but I thought it might be good to share, and maybe just some a different view. Maybe if you're thinking about having an operation or trying to modify yourself in any way, maybe just something to think about before you go ahead with the procedure. Because if I knew now what I knew then, there is absolutely no way that I would have ever messed with myself. And it has a lot to do with the things that I've been talking about, and mind over matter and all that kind of thing. So and the card that's on the top as well is "You are not alone." You're not the only person feeling like you want to mess with yourself. Okay, so when I was very young, I got my periods and my boobs like ridiculously early, and I felt quite big chested compared to most of my friends, and very aware that my boobs were very much there. And I never had any complaints about the size of my boobs, or didn't thought they were very much in proportion to the rest of my body. As I went through high school, they never really changed that much. They just sort of stayed the same. As I've mentioned, I was very athletic in school, so they wouldn't. I can't imagine that they were ever gonna get any bigger because of the things that I was doing, and it never really bothered me. And when I went to university, my cup size went up like two sizes, because I had put on quite a lot of weight through drinking and my lifestyle. And I think I was at a D, CD, and I'm a 34 on my rib cage. And most of that is actually on my back rather than my front. I have a huge back. And when I was at university, I started dancing, podium dancing, nightclub dancing, and the weight literally fell off me in such a short space of time. And as I've mentioned in previous video, I was doing everything in my power to get that weight off. So I was taking laxatives, and I was exercising every single day for long periods of time. Also dancing, and I could be dancing until the early hours of the morning. I was hardly eating. My diet just went crazy, to the point where I would sit and eat half a cauliflower for my tea, and then as soon as I danced, I'd want to scoff chips and cheese toasties and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was just berserk. So I lost a hell of a lot of weight really, really quickly, and my breast size went down from a very full D to an A, probably not even an A. And because I'd lost the weight so quickly, it literally just all slid off the top of my boobs as well, and the skin was left very loose, which actually bothered me more than the size that they were, is the fact that the skin didn't really have chance to go with my actual body that was underneath. It literally was just it had a hard time coping with what I was trying to do to my body, and obviously because I didn't have a very good diet at the time, then my skin had even harder time to cope with what was going on. And I pretty much, as soon as I started losing weight, started looking into having my boobs done, and after years of researching and saving and, well, what I thought was extensive research, I chose to go to one of the best clinics at the time, which was Harley Street. I paid a fortune to have my boobs done, and I paid instalments. I went and had a consultation in London. I'm just trying to think what actually happened at the consultation. It was very much size. What do you want them to look like? Very aesthetic kind of conversation. I wasn't warned about the negatives really at all about having surgery. Obviously the risk of death whilst I was having surgery, but not the actual risks of what the implants would mean to me and my body. I was cheerleaded into the surgery by my partner at the time, who I thought was absolutely amazing because he helped me pay for my surgery and so that I could get them done quicker, and then I would owe him the money. And I thought at the time that must be amazing that he's done that for me and that he's been so supportive of me getting my surgery. And it wasn't until I'd had my surgery that I felt completely differently about his actions of cheerleading me towards my surgery. And as soon as I had had my surgery, I realised that I had made a humongous mistake. And I thought, I'll just wait for the swelling to go down and I'll wait till they've settled into my body. And it was almost, and that feeling of contentment never came. And it just never came. And I realised that I'd made a very, very, very big mistake. I paid for the best implants at the time. I paid for the most natural looking implants at the time. If there was a best of the best scenario that I paid for, then I paid for it at that time, because I thought by paying for the best that I would receive the best and that there would be no complications and everything would be fine and all that kind of thing. The surgery went really well. I came out of my surgery feeling like I hadn't had surgery. I wasn't in a great deal of pain. Now, the first time I had my implants put in, I had them put over the top of the muscle, and the procedure was very, very simple, and it was just a case of aligning the implants. I'd gone to about a CD cup, so the skin was already ready to compensate for that kind of implant, and they did look incredibly like my boobs when they were at their fullest, but because I'd lost so much weight, they looked enormous. And they were not in line with the person that had the surgery. They were far too wide for my rib cage, and they were incredibly heavy. And because I was carrying hardly any muscle at the time, and I was so frail because I'd lost so much weight, I actually started getting problems with my back. And I started suffering from sciatica. I started having problems crouching and basically just moving my body at all. It put a lot of I wasn't balanced, and I couldn't train as well as I used to. I completely stopped weights on my top half altogether. Completely stopped. And my dancing slowed down a great deal. I wasn't as energetic. I didn't have as much stamina. It took me a long time for recovery, and I don't feel like I ever got back to my fitness of what I was before. I feel like it affected my breathing. I feel like it made my breathing shallower. And very soon after, the implants embedded into the surgery softened, I started getting like electrical pains like coming from underneath my armpits, and in my breast area, as if something was tearing, and I can only assume that this was some sort of nerve damage, as that's what it felt like. It felt like an electrical shock. And I found that I couldn't lay on my back anymore because I felt like I couldn't breathe properly. So it basically just affected every corner of my life. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, and I never put any of it down to my boobs at all. I blamed it on everything else, and it was affecting my mood a lot, and the fact that I wasn't as fit really got me down, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get my fitness back up. The more and harder I trained, I felt that I was somehow defective, or that I was getting lazy, and it really bothered me that I was just struggling so much to do things that just felt so easy beforehand. Clothes became a humongous issue because I was so tiny everywhere else, but then I had a big chest. So I just found that I was just wearing clothes that I didn't enjoy wearing. My wardrobe completely changed. And I also found myself covering up so much more than what I was actually doing before. And I wasn't proud of them, and I felt like that people would stare at me if I had a revealing top on, and I just became really aware that they were on show, so I would cover up more. And I also found that when I was dancing, that people, especially men, would be more physically inclined to touch me and grab me, grope me when I'd had my boobs done, where they wouldn't before. They drew a lot of attention, and that was not the reason why I had my boobs done. So the main reason why I had my boobs done, or what I convinced myself at the time was the main reason, is that I didn't feel like a woman when I'd lost all my weight. That's how I saw myself, that a woman was associated with her boobs. That was the only thing. And I completely convinced myself that my boyfriend at the time was a cheerleader and supportive for me, pushing me towards having this operation and giving me the money. And as soon as I'd had the operation, he wanted the money back, which put a lot of pressure on me to work. And obviously I was still recovering, but also I felt like a trophy. I felt like he was showing me off when I'd had my boobs done, and that completely made me feel so uncomfortable, and it made me think so differently about the reasons why he'd actually supported me in having it done, and modifying myself in such a way made me feel that I wasn't good enough for him before, and the trust in our relationship pretty much just disappeared. And it just, yeah, I felt very much that the way that he handled the situation was very much for his own gratification rather than what was best for me. And getting it done even quicker than what I could have done didn't leave me as much room to research as much as what I would have liked, because I didn't get any research on the after effects of what would happen with the breast implants. It was more just leading up to the surgery, what would happen, my recovery period and things like that. But realistically, when I actually had my boobs done, there wasn't really any feedback or testing in regards to people wearing their breast implants for a long time, or no one had brought that information all together. So there wasn't really a lot on some of the diseases that are caused by having implants. There wasn't really any of the feedback that women had given about how much it had changed their mental health and their physical health. The fact that the implants do leak regardless of whether you have saline or not. The scarring, the mutations, there's just a whole host of things that go on with implants that was not readily available at the time. And after a few years of actually having my implants, I started to one of my implants got covered completely in scar tissue, and my body was trying to get rid of it. I was in agony, absolute agony for years, and I kept putting it off because I didn't really understand what was happening. But basically my implant had completely encapsulated in scar tissue, and my body was trying to get rid of it, so it was covering it in basically a giant scab, and it was going hard, and you could physically see the difference in my two boobs. I ended up going to the NHS for help because I was in so much pain, and I really couldn't afford a second surgery, and it's even more expensive, let me tell you, to have them done again. And the NHS basically said they would take the implants out for me, and I would be left with whatever the surgery left me with. So no reconstruction, no cleaning up, no nothing. Literally just take the implants out and sew me back up again. And that literally scared the complete shit out of me. So I ended up having to wait another couple of years until I could remortgage my house and get the money for a second surgery. I went to the hospital group in Sheffield, and it was all nice, and they said that they could sort out the problem, and they were saying that I would have to go slightly bigger because obviously the scar tissue will have to come out, which will make the pocket even bigger, and I will have to go underneath the muscle. All of these things completely were just not what I wanted, terrified me. I was scared to have the operation. I was scared what was going to happen. I really didn't want to go any bigger. If anything, I wanted to go nothing at all, or, smaller, a lot smaller. And they were saying basically these were my only options. So gave me a price, and that was that. So I went in for my surgery. When I went in for my surgery, just as I was about to go under, I heard the surgeon say that they didn't have the implant size that I had signed for. So they were going to use an even bigger size. And I heard them say that when I was slipping out of consciousness. And I feel like sometimes the universe gives you a piece of information and you think at the time, why did I need to hear that? Well, I need to hear it because I'm going to have my implants taken out, and I am going to go back to the hospital group, and I'm going to go back with my paperwork that I signed, and I'm going to go back with my implants, and I'm going to show them what got put into my body. Since that operation, I have not been happy with my bust. My boobs are enormous compared to my frame. I don't show my boobs off. I don't like showing my boobs off. They make me incredibly uncomfortable. When people ask to see them, it makes me feel sick. They are not natural looking. They look like two stuck on boulders to me. With them being under the muscle and me being a very muscly person, you can see my muscle definition. I don't think that there's anything womanly about my boobs at the moment. And I think when I see women with natural breasts and they're soft and they droop and they curve, and I look at mine and think how round and hard they are, and I think when I had my operation, my first operation, that's what I thought women were all about, is their boobs. And now looking at my boobs are everything that a woman is not. A woman is soft. A woman is something that you can get hold of and squeeze. I think now when I had my first operation, I didn't know what a woman was. And it was complete immaturity that led me to have an operation that has actually made me feel less womanly. I struggled to feed my son, and all I've ever wanted in the whole entire universe was to breastfeed, and I really, really struggled, and I massively believe it was because of my implants. as soon as I can afford to, I will be taking these implants out, and I will be going back to the hospital group to show them what they've put in. And the reason why I've been asked to do this video is because these people aren't regulated in the way that you think that they are. And at the end of the day, they're making a hell of a lot of money out of your pain. And there's nobody stopping them from doing it. So if this video sheds a little bit of light, or maybe another aspect of something that you really haven't thought about, I would just finish off by saying the reasons why you think that you need to change yourself are not the right reasons. And however much you try and get it through your brain that it's going to make you feel better, it won't. I can guarantee it, it won't. And there's 1,000 other things that I can help you with and guide you with to make you feel better about yourself than surgery and changing yourself. Because what you're doing is saying that you weren't good enough in the first place. And you are.